Hello, my name is Lisa Williamson and I am the author of the Bigg School series, and I am here today to share with you my top 5 tips for writing. So here we go with number 1, and number 1 is to write the kind of story that you think you would really enjoy reading. So when I was younger, my favourite kind of stories were stories about kids at school navigating everyday problems. And I love those kind of stories because it really helped me make sense of how I navigated just being, a kid at school. So it makes sense that these are the books that I'm writing now as a grown-up, and the same applies to you. So love books about dragons, write a story about a dragon. If you love adventure stories, write an adventure story. If you like really scary stories, write one of those. And I think you can't really go wrong. If you come up with a story that you think you'd really enjoy reading, chances are somebody else will as well. Tip number 2, make life really difficult for your main character. And I always feel a bit mean with this one, but I think it's got to be done. So if you think about your favourite stories, the characters, they'll go through some stuff. I don't think it's that interesting to read about a character who just everything kind of is fine, or everything goes the way they want it to. That's not always that interesting. So make life difficult for your character. Put obstacles in their way. Have them make mistakes, and out of that, interesting stories will emerge, I promise you. So don't be afraid to make something really difficult. To throw in a hand grenade into your scene and just see how your character navigates it. Can be a really, really great way of getting your story really going and injecting it with a bit of excitement. Tip number 3 is if you're stuck, what to do. I get stuck a lot, and something you can do is ask yourself a what if question. And this can work really well, particularly if you're at the beginning of a story and you're kind of feeling like you haven't got any ideas. Maybe ask yourself a what if question, and sometimes quite an outrageous what if question can get those creative juices flowing. So for example, what if your main character found a treasure map? And immediately your brains, I think now, are thinking, oh yeah, what if that happened? Where is this map? Where did they find it? Where is it going to lead? What is the treasure? There are so many questions that come out of that. Another what if might be, what if your family dog suddenly started talking? What would come out of that? How would you all react? What would your dog sound like? So many interesting things can come out of just asking a very simple what if question. Tip number 4, write as often as you can. Now, this doesn't mean hours and hours of slaving away over, a computer or a notebook. All I'm saying is that writing is a little bit like a muscle, and you have to keep it nice and strong. You have to exercise it. So if you think about, for example, learning to play the piano, you've got to practice. So you can't just sit down at the piano one day and expect to just be able to play a piece of music beautifully. You've got to put the practice in, and the same goes for writing. And I've been writing for a long time now, and the way that I've got better and more confident at writing is just by doing it a lot. And it doesn't mean you have to be, like I say, writing for hours and hours, just a little bit now and then, just to keep that muscle exercised. And it's really going to help you sort of improve in terms of not only the words you put on the page, but also your confidence as well. So yeah, if you want to become a writer, just as much as you can, just get those words down. You never know as well what magic might come out of them. And my final tip, and I think this is maybe the most important one, is to not put too much pressure on yourself to finish something. When I was younger, I always thought I was a failure at writing because I never finished anything. I was brilliant at beginning stories. I would get really excited by the ideas, but then often it would be the case that I would lose steam or confidence, or I just wouldn't know what to do, and I'd put it aside, and I always thought, I'm rubbish, I'll never be a writer one day. And that was daft really, because I was practicing. I was exercising that muscle. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. It is all brilliant practice, and every word that you write, even if it is a story that no one ever reads, or a story that you sort of then decide you don't like anymore, all of that has helped you become a better writer, I promise you. So those are my top 5 tips. I hope that they really help you. And I think I'm going to add a sneaky extra tip here. if you can find a way to have fun with your writing, I think, you know, you've won the prize there. Because writing is really fun. You're just making up stories, and I think it's the most fun job in the world. But sometimes I can get bogged down with it and it doesn't feel like fun. It just feels like really, really hard work. So if you can keep in mind that, you know, this is a fun, exciting adventure you're on with your characters, then, you know, you're pretty much there. So that's it. All I can say for now is, you know, good luck. Happy writing.